rajasi pralayaṁ gatvā karma-saṅgiṣu jāyate tathā tamasi mūḍha-yoniṣu jāyate karmaṇaḥ sukṛtasyāhuḥ sāttvikaṁ nirmalaṁ phalam rajasas pravittetu pralayam yati dehabrit tudotma vidam lokam amalan pratipadyate. So word for word, number 14. Please repeat. Yada, when. Sattve, the mode of goodness. Praviddate, developed. Tu, but. Pralayam, dissolution. Yati, goes. Dehabrit, the embodied. Tathā, at that time. Uttama vidam, of the great sages. Lokan, the planets. Amalan, pure. Pratipadyate, attains. So, translation Srila Prabhupada. When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains to the pure higher planets of the great sages. Please repeat. When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains to the pure higher planets of the great sages. Purport Srila Prabhupada. One in goodness attains higher planetary systems like Brahmalok or Jnanalok, and there enjoys godly happiness. The word amalan is significant. It means free from the modes of passion and ignorance. There are impurities in the material world, but the mode of goodness is the purest form of existence in the material world. There are two kinds of planets for different kinds of living entities. Those who die in the mode of goodness are elevated to the planets where great sages and great devotees live. So, please repeat the word for number 15. Rajasi, in passion. Pralayam, dissolution. Gatvā, attaining. Karma-saṅgiṣu, in the association of those engaged in fruitive activities. Jāyate, takes birth. Tathā, similarly. Pralīnaḥ, being dissolved. Tamasi, in ignorance. mūḍha-yoniṣu, in animal species. Jāyate, takes birth. Translation Srila Prabhupada. When one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth amongst those engaged in fruitive activities. When one dies in the mode of good ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom. Please repeat. When one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive activities. And when one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom. Purport Srila Prabhupada. Some people have the impression that when the soul reaches the platform of human life, it never goes down. This is incorrect. According to this verse, if one develops the mode of ignorance after his death, he is degraded to an animal form of life. From there one has to again elevate himself by an evolutionary process to come again to the human form of life. Therefore, those who are actually serious about human life should take to the mode of goodness and in good association transcend the modes and become situated in Krishna consciousness. This is the aim of human life. Otherwise, there is no guarantee that the human being will again attain to the human status. Mukham karochit vachalam pangam laite garim yad kripa tamaham vande Shri Guru dinatarinam. When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains to the pure higher planets of the great sages. When one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive activities. And when one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom. Yes. Excuse me. So of course you're all experienced devotees. You know I'm not the body, right? I'm the eternal soul within the body. But now in Kali Yuga, on the earth planet here, people, so many people are being miseducated. They're told we're just this body and this life. So how you can have a successful society when there's such a basic mistake in your life, individually or collectively? Individually, how you can have a successful life if you think I'm just this body? What will you think? You'll think I'll just enjoy this body as much as I can. There'll be a tendency to think in that way. And then when I die, everything is gone. And so collectively, societies that think in this way, they also in this foolish idea. Let me do everything. Let me conquer. Let me go to the moon, put a flag there, and say, I conquer this for the Queen of Timbuktu. But what's the point? If you're going to die, everything is useless or pathetic, because you're performing all this activity for nothingness. So then they become desperate, take to intoxication, suicidal, unregulated. And we see Kali Yuga like this, right? Nobody is fearful. They are calculating, there is an asteroid coming to Earth, so if we hit a nuclear bomb on its side, that will cause a reaction and it'll go away from Earth planet and we'll be saved. So in science they're calculating like that, action and reaction. But for me here on Earth planet, there's no reaction to my deeds. Right? They think action and reaction, that is a lever and lifting a brick. Action and reaction. Pressing on a wall, the wall will spring back. Action and reaction. But people can do anything and they'll get no reaction. You can become a drunkard and you'll get no reaction. You can become an abortionist and you'll get no reaction. But the whole of their material science, their atheistic material science, is based on action and reaction. Physics class, right? If you combine hydrogen and oxygen, the reaction will cause water. But for my activities, there's no reaction. So in this muddled frame of mind, people are going to hell. You see, here it says here, when one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom. Right? The animals, they're unregulated. They're servant of the physical impulses. So if you live a life like that, serving your physical impulses, your mental whimsy, you're cultivating birth in the animal kingdom. Of course, they don't believe there's a soul to take birth in another body after this body. This is the original ignorance. But Bhagavad-Gita is explaining this is a fact. This is a fact. And we can understand. Krishna gives the example that just like a small body becomes a young boy, becomes a teenager, becomes an adult, becomes an old man, but the person is the same within, right? We're all in different stages of our life, so we all had a childhood. We all know that I'm the same person now in this body that I was when I was a young boy or young girl trying to learn how to ride a bicycle, right? That was the same me. Huh? This indicates to us that that me, that sense of self, is the soul. And it will continue after life into the next body. But the destination will be a reaction to your activities in this life. Huh? This is the next question. Okay, I understand I'm not the body, yes, I'm the inhabitant of the body. Just like a driver energizes the car, the motor car. If there's no driver in the motor car, it's inert. But the driver gets in and he drives the car. Krishna says the same, Ishvara Sava Bhutanam Hrideshe Arjunatistati Yantra Rudrani Mayaya. That this material body is a yantra, a machine made of mayaya, the material energy. And because the soul is there, desiring activities under the supervision of the Paramatma, we studied in the previous chapter, Paramatma is fulfilling the desires of that individual soul in the material body machine. So this point is essential to understand, because how you drive your motor car will have a result. If you drive like crazy, or if you get drunk and you drive badly, you may have a terrible accident. But if you drive soberly and carefully, in a mode of goodness, right, you may achieve your destination. But if you drive wildly, in the mode of passion, you're in a dangerous situation. So how we drive this motor car is up to us. Eko yoda dadati kamam. Eko yoda dadati. I am the supreme eternal, the supremely conscious one, and I am fulfilling the desires of all the living entities. So Krishna is reciprocating Manushana Shahastra in accordance with our desire. He's facilitating our desire. We talked about this in previous classes, right? Vasudeva, Shankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, that the thinking, feeling, willing and action is facilitated by Krishna's expansions in the spiritual world and the material world. Everything is resting upon Krishna. Sutri Mani Iva. And Krishna, he is giving us facility. And if you remember in the previous chapter, when Supersoul was being described, there was Upadrista Anumanta. So the Supersoul is Upadrista, from above, Upa, or from transcendental position, Drista. He is seeing everything. He is seeing the desire of the spirit soul. He's seeing the karma phal. He's seeing other living entities. And Anumanta. Anumanta, he is sanctioning. So you may want to rob a bank. So Krishna is sanctioning it. Right? He's sanctioned. Okay, you want to rob the bank. So you're sitting down there, how can I rob the bank? I won't do it in the day. At night, I'll go in through this window. Huh? So he's giving intelligence, he's giving facility, he's giving you to do this. But once you've robbed the bank and the police are chasing you down the road, or sooner or later, then you get thrown in the jail. There's action, there's reaction, right? So Krishna is facilitating, and he's also stopping. He's not sanctioning, right? That is the problem. The thief is in the street and he's praying, oh, I'm starving, let me break into this house and steal some money. And then inside the house, the husband is praying to God, oh dear God, please stop people from breaking in my house and stealing my money. So this is super soul. He's in a very difficult position. The thief is praying, may I steal? And the householder is praying, may I not be stealed from? So it's a very difficult job. Super soul. So everything in the material is a great, it's explained, you'll see, 15th chapter. Oh, I heard the mouse, sorry. That everything is floating on the lake of desire. All the living entities are dying. You know, just like now in the Jamuna, you see it's very full. And there's many water plants. And they're all intermingling. So this is like the lake of desire. All the living entities are interplaying. And somehow or other Super Soul has to govern everything justly, which he does. So he is the observer. He is the observer, upadrishta. Okay, you want to be a criminal, you want to be a bad person. He will try to stop. That is called conscience, right? When I think, why am I breaking into the bank at night? Because I know it's a bad thing, right? Why am I feeling bad in the heart when I tell a lie? This is Super Soul saying, don't do that. But we insist, do we not? Right? We push past the Super Soul. So then Super Soul turns off and then, okay, go ahead and do this impious activity. So similarly, somebody in the mode of goodness, pious, he wants to perform good activities. Super Soul is encouraging, yes, do that, that's a good thing. Giving charity, the person feels good. He's pious. He develops a sense of knowledge. He's more likely to take good instruction spiritually. He's more likely to understand spiritual things. Then he will progress up to the higher planets. And there he will get godly association. Just like in this world, if you're a good student at college and you study nicely your ABCs and you learn your grammar, you can go to university and, in theory at least, you can meet very learned professors, ask them questions and they'll give you advice and this and that. So similarly, in this life, if we cultivate the path of good behavior, piety, truthfulness, then we will go up to the higher planetary systems and we'll associate here, right? Like that first one. When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains to the pure higher planets of the great sages. So that means now we're on Bhuloka, then there's Bhuvaloka, and then there is Svargaloka. So goodness and passion are increasing and ignorance is dying away. But when you go above Svargaloka, you go to Mahaloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka and Satyaloka. And these are all progressively more in the mode of goodness, with ignorance and passion dissipated. So that's where the sages are. Because in the mode of goodness, the consciousness is clear and you can sit down and contemplate. Just like our philosophy is Achincha Bhed Abhed, right? That Krishna is inconceivable to the material mind. He cannot be investigated just by the limited intellectual idea. He must reveal himself, spuryada, spurti. He gives revelation of his quality to the person who's performing sadhana. So somebody in the mode of goodness can understand that. Yes, Krishna is Achincha. He's beyond the mind. The mind cannot fully encapsulate him, but the mind can point the direction. So a person in mode of goodness can contemplate in that when he's chanting japa, studying the shastra, and so he can become enlightened. And then he becomes fit to get good instruction from great sages and associate. But then, right? When one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth amongst those engaged in fruitive activities. Fruitive activities mean you're performing activities and you want the fruit. Just like a businessman, busy. He's very busy, he's very passionate. Busyness, business, busyness. He's working very hard, buying in Lucknow, selling in Delhi, putting in the warehouse in Aligarh, going here, making this contract, going here, comes home at night, then he gets up in the morning. So he's working very hard, he wants the fruit, right? So people in the mode of passion, they tend to be like that. They want the fruit. Or like we were saying about the Olympics, work very hard. I'm going to build big muscles and I'll get what will be the fruit, a tin golden medal. So they're all working very hard. They want to run the mile in under 3-4 minutes or something. So they have to work very hard, right? They have to train for 10 years, get up, take diet, and then run and get the medal. So mode of passion. So this Bhumandala that we're situated now, this is also often called karma bhumi, because mode of passion is very prominent here. Prabhupada used to say, breaking and building. You know, they're always building something, breaking it, then building another one, building this, building that, breaking and building. There's always this activity going on. Like you go into Delhi in the morning and people are very busy, hanging off the bus, going to work, working 8 hours, going home and then working, very busy. Nobody is sitting around thinking, what does Krishna mean when he says, aham sarvasya prabhavo? What does he mean? No, they're just thinking, I'd better get to work on time so I can, and work hard so I can get my 500 rupees a day. So in this condition, he doesn't see the value of spiritual knowledge. So, karma bhumi. Of course, he may come to the temple in the weekend. That's good. And he may find somebody who says, Chant Hare Krishna. And then he's going to change his modes. So all these modes, they have a consequence. But it's we that cultivate them. This is the point. By our choice. Krishna is facilitating, as Super Soul, these activities. But he's not making somebody become a learned brahmana, and somebody becoming passionate, and somebody act like an animal. He's giving advice as conscience, as Super Soul, but he's not pushing the person in a certain direction. And rather he is fulfilling. He's fulfilling. So Super Soul in that way is blameless. You understand? Sometimes people, they say, oh, there's no God because there's suffering. Right? This is the main thing that people say. There's no God because there's suffering. Well, that's like a prisoner in the prison house saying, there's no government because I'm in prison suffering. No, because you're in prison, that's proof there's a government. You want to enjoy, but you're being forced into the jail suffering. So people say, oh, there's suffering, therefore there's no God. Where's the logic? Maybe God is giving you suffering as a corrective measurement. If I say I'm in jail, therefore I don't believe in the government, because the government is supposed to do good for the citizen. Yes, it's doing good for the citizen. It's giving hospitals, education, food, railways. It's giving guidance in so many ways. But if you're a criminal, can you expect that good result? We put The government doesn't want a prison house, but because it's a big expense, right? The government would much prefer if everyone was well behaved and they didn't need lawyers and judges and prison houses. The government is not in favor of spending billions of dollars, rupees, to make Tihar jail. But it's necessary, because not all the citizens will become good citizens and live by the law of the land. They'll misuse their independence. So can you blame the government? But the atheist says like that. Oh, I'm suffering. God is supposed to be good. Suffering is bad. So if there's bad, there's no good God. But that's also like a child. He says, I don't like my daddy because he stops me from eating bad food. And I want to eat bad food. I want to eat junk food every day. So the father says, no, you can't eat junk food. You have to eat healthy food. Daddy, you're supposed to be good. That means you should allow me to eat junk food. No, I'm good, so I'm stopping you eating. I'm correcting you. So the karmic phal, the karma phal, that you get from the lower modes of passion and ignorance, that is corrective. Whereas we all know that if we go to bed early and we eat good food, we don't overeat, we get up and we chant our japa, how do we feel? We feel very nice, right? But if you overeat and you sleep late and you're angry with somebody and you're fighting and you're cheating and you're pushing away through life, how do you feel? You feel bad. You're cultivating bad behavior. So, just like people, these pop stars, they become famous, right? So they take many drugs, right? They get a lot of money, they take many drugs. But then at the end of all this, they go to the rehab and they say, I'll never take drugs again. It's so bad. At the beginning they enjoy, right? But then they keep the drugs, they take the drugs and all this, and then they're in hospital. My brain doesn't work anymore. My wife hates me. My children don't want to see me. I can't get off the bed. I'd better stop these drugs. So that's called learning the hard way. Right? Learning the hard way. But the intelligent person learns the easy way. This knowledge Krishna is giving Arjuna, and through him us. He's saying, cultivate the mode of goodness. Be truthful. What is the mode of goodness? Let's have a look. Samadama sapaso cham. 1 minute. Yes, in chapter 18. Yes, in chapter 18, verse 40, there is no being existing either here or among the demigods in the higher planetary system which is free from these three modes born of material nature. Brahmanas, Kshatriya, Vaishyas and Sudras, 4 classifications of person according to their modes, are distinguished by the qualities, the guna, born of their own nature, their own behavior, in accordance with the material modes. So here the mode of goodness. Krishna is explaining to us in verse 42 that we should cultivate. Samodama tapasocham kashantir arjavam evacha. Right? Samo means peacefulness. That means refers to the mind. One should try to be peaceful in the mind. That means one should be tolerant. In this world, people will stand on your toe, people will elbow you, people will be bad mannered to you, but you should shanti, like you should be peaceful, you should be tolerant, you should try to not react, right? So that means peaceful of the mind. Dhamma means self-control. That means you should be controlling the body also. You should avoid violence. Self-control. But that also means, sleeping at the right time, eating the right amount, the right food. Self-control of the body. Then you can perform austerity, tathā. So when you've got a peaceful mind and you're controlling the body, then you can perform tathā. So what's the best tathā? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Especially recommended in Kali-yoga. By chanting and hearing and chanting, then you will go beyond mode of goodness, tathā. Then purity. Then you should live a pure life, right? You should live clean cloth, clean bed, clean house, clean thoughts, clean mind, body. You should try to cultivate, as Rupa Goswami says, sato vritte. Your means of livelihood should be pure. Tolerance, like we say. Tolerance. This, just like now, it's damp. Before it was hot, before it was cold. We have to tolerate the conditions of life. Honesty. That means truthfulness, right? That means you shouldn't be liar. You shouldn't exaggerate. You shouldn't tell stories. You shouldn't be a rumour monger. You should be honest. Simple and honest. Knowledge. Yes, and then you should cultivate spiritual knowledge from Srimad Bhagavatam, from Bhagavad-Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, so many spiritual books, Goswami, Sad Goswami, the Sat Sandarbhas, the Vedanta Sutra, should gain that knowledge. And then wisdom, Vijñāna, that means you'll get realization by the grace of Krishna. By doing bhajan, Krishna will give you understanding. And religiosity, that means living according to your nature as a spirit soul. Jaiva dharma, ultimately. These are the natural qualities by which the brahmanas work. That means the mode of goodness. Now if you cultivate those, you will go to the higher planetary systems. But that is like being a first-class prisoner. If you go to Tihar jail, you may go to the luxury quarters, but you're still in the jail. So that is not good. We'll just finish this. So the Kshatriya, mode of passion and goodness, heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity and leadership are the natural qualities of work for the Kshatriya. So that is mode of passion, the Kshatriya. But he is a religious person and he's taken instruction from the Brahmanas. Nowadays this is the government function, but now the government function is taking instruction from the demoniac elements of the financial system. And then farming, Krishi Go Raksha Vanijam, Vaishya Karma Swabhavajam. So this is passion and ignorance. You see, farming, cow protection and business. So the Kshatriya is meant to protect the people. But the Vaishya is supposed to protect Krishi, the land, and the cows. You see. Can you see the division? And then Varnijam, he enters into fruitive activity. So passion and ignorance is there. And then for the Sudras, there is labor and service to others. So the Sudras, they find engagement under the Vaishyas or the Kshatriyas or the Brahmanas. And then if a Sudra serves a Brahmana, then he will become elevated to Brahminical status. If the Kshatriya inclined Sudra, he serves the Kshatriya in the officer of the army, then he will be elevated in that way. And the Sudra, if he serves the Vaishya, then he will also get that. But this is all material, you see. This is elevating within the material modes. So now if we go now to 925, Krishna also explains the consequences of action. Excuse me. Yanti deva vrata devan pritrin yanti pritri vrataha bhutani yanti bhuteja yanti mam yachino pimam. This verse is very important because here it's more on this today's topic of the result of activities. Those who worship the demigods will take birth amongst the demigods. So what mode is that? Goodness, yes. They're in the higher planetary system. So I remember once I met a Pandit from the Radha Balav Sampradaya. And we were talking, he's an astrologer and I know a little astrology, and I told him I'm in Rahu period. So he said, look, I can perform a yajna for you and you'll get many benefits from Rahu. It'll cost 20,000. I'll have 5 Brahmins chant so many thousand mantras, Om Rang Raghave Namaha, to Rahu, and Rahu will give you many benefits in your Rahu period. It'll just cost 20,000. So this is worship of the devas and the different personalities. This is completely unknown outside India, practically speaking, right? They're just worshipping rajasas and demons and reptilians with blood and human sacrifice. But in India they know, oh, there's still, if you go down south, you find a Brahmin to worship Surya for you, to worship Shiva, to worship Uma, to get a good result. So this is mode of goodness. Huh? This is mode of goodness. Because you're having faith in the Vedas and you're acting and associating with knowledgeable people. Those who worship the ancestors will go to the ancestors. Huh? So what is that? Goodness? Passion, yeah. Because the ancestors, it means that you're still bodily platform, right? You're still attached to the body. So I want to see my great-grandfather, he's in Prithvi Loka, he's enjoying in there. I want to go there, I want to have that kind of enjoyment. The family will be together in that way. So I've seen them do it in Keshi on the days. Pinda, offering of Pinda. So that's still going on in India. They're worshipping ancestors with Pinda. It maintains them in Prithvi Loka. I want to go there, so I'm going to perform yajnas to go there. That's tinged mode of goodness. Passion. And then those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. So there's also this black tantra. Like in the Bhagavad-Gita, they wanted to offer Jad Bharat to Kali, right? And sometimes the animal and human sacrifice, Kali. And also in the Middle East, sacrifice of animals, on even firstborn children. And, blood sacrifices and demoniac entities, worshipping Molech and Baal and offering this and offering this. So they will take birth in these lower evil spirits. This is not worship of the Supreme Lord. This is worship of ghosts. They have it in Africa, right? Voodoo, right? You go to a voodoo priestess and you say, I want business to improve and I want trouble for my business. So, okay, we'll offer, I've got control of so many bhutas, ghosts, and we'll offer chickens and alcohol and so on. And then the voodoo priestess will let the ghost come in her body, and the ghost will drink alcohol and eat chicken and drink blood. Right? This still in India also, right? In some places in the villages, isn't it? They're worshipping some spirit. Also in Mombasa, I was there. They have the Muslims. They have ghost gurus. You can go there and you can pay a fee, and the ghost guru will offer he's got control of so many bhutas, and he will throw a ghost on your enemy, or you'll make a love potion so the girl falls in love with you. So this is mode of ignorance, isn't it? But there's a certain potency. Huh? Yeah, so this is worship of ghosts and spirits. And usually it's blood rituals, offering animals and so on. And if you remember in the Bhagavatam, Jadbharat, Kali couldn't bear to see it because Jadbharat was a great devotee. So killed those offerers. And then she didn't eat, but Lord Shiva is Bhutanath. He's controller of the living entities in the ignorant mode, the Bhutas. So Kali, her adherents, her followers, they ate the blood and drank the body of those people who were trying to kill Jadbharat. And it explains there, after drinking this blood, they were intoxicated, the ghosts and spirits. So this is going on. In Babylon, this was quite a big thing. Stonehenge, Druids, and there's stories about it in Europe. So this worship of ghosts and spirits with blood sacrifices and violent things, then if you engage in this as a priestess or a priest or somebody who's taking help from the Bhutas, like they have the Ouija board, you know the Ouija board? Does the alphabet, and you put your finger and it moves. That's very dangerous because you're inviting ghosts and spirits. And if they become attached to you, they can cause trouble to you. This is not demigod worship or worship of God. So then Krishna says, and those who worship me will live with me. Right? So this is the ultimate point. Right? You can worship in the mode of goodness. You can worship in mode of passion in different ways. You can worship in the mode of ignorance. And you'll be bound in this material world. But aham sarvasya what is that? Sarvadama prijajya mamekam saranam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo. Just surrender to me through the medium of pure devotee from the shastric conclusion of the acharyas, and then you will transcend all these material dharmas and action and reactions. And that's in the Bhagavatam. Akarma-saṅgiṣu, akarma-saṅgiṣu, moksha-karma udaryadi, tivrena bhakti-yogena, jāyate puruṣam param. Whether you are akarma, that means without material desire. That means you're trying to be a voidist or an impersonalist, akam. You're trying to get rid of all desire. Sarvakarma, that means you have all desire to enjoy the material world. Money, wealth, fame and fortune, wine, women and song. And then akarma, sarvakarma, moksha karma, or you want liberation from the material world and you want to enter into the Brahman effulgence, you want to enter into the spiritual energy, then you're only intelligent if you worship Purusham, the Supreme Person. Because even if you're worshipping the demigods or the Bhutas or the Pritris, who is the final person that is giving you that? Krishna. Yeah. The demigods have got potency because of Krishna. The Pritris have got potency because of Krishna. Everything is resting upon Krishna. The Bhuta worship is ghost worship, voodoo worship, black tantra is got potency because it's resting upon Krishna. So instead of going through that medium, go direct. Huh? And then you become purified, right? Because you may think, okay, I'm going to chant Hare Krishna, but I want to be rich. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Give me money, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Give me money, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Give me money, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And then eventually you'll forget they give me money and you'll be going Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Right? And Krishna says, right, there's statements, isn't it? The one who surrenders to me, I fulfill all his desires. But he fulfills them in a way that doesn't kill your bhakti. You understand? Like Bali Maharaj, like Dhruva Maharaj. He wanted a big kingdom, right? So he worshipped Vishnu. Narada Muni said, chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, and he was chanting. So eventually Vishnu came and he gave the big, but first he made Dhruva a devotee. And then Dhruva said, oh, I was looking for broken glass, but now I found a diamond. So wanting the material things, if you worship Krishna to get them, eventually you will attain them. Krishna will give you them. But he'll give you them in relationship to himself. You see. So therefore Indra, in these higher planetary systems, they're enjoying, but they're devotees. So they're becoming purified, actually. And their attachment to Krishna is there. So their material enjoyment doesn't become a distraction from their relationship with Krishna. So, that's Bhagavad-Gita. Krishna gives all knowledge about things, but the ultimate point is devotion. You see? Bhakti-yoga abhijanati. So, we all have desires, but we should know that if we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna will fulfill those desires that are beneficial for us, and he'll fulfill them in the way that is beneficial. Just like Lord Shiva, somebody was worshipping Lord Shiva. Was it? There was a demon, he wanted 1,000 hands, and he... Banasur. Yeah, and he wanted so that if he put his hand on somebody's head, the head would explode, right? Huh? Bhasmasura, yes. So he was worshipping Lord Shiva, but he's not getting bhakti, so he got that power. So then he turned to Lord Shiva, when I've got to put my head on, you've given me the power, and I want to put it on Lord Shiva and marry Uma, perhaps. But then Lord Shiva said, wait a minute, first test it on yourself. It exploded. So he didn't worship Krishna. He just got the result of his tapasya. So in that way, Krishna will fulfill desires that are beneficial, in a bit beneficial way, you see. What's the name of that demon?
His name is Vritasura.
Vritasura.
But because he got his spoon to make somebody ash, so it's called Bhasmasura.
Bhasmasura. Bhasma. Yeah, Bhasma. Yeah, so he got fired up. He became Bhasma in his own head. So it's very good, powerful, shows Lord Shiva worship is very powerful. So this is the point. There are consequences. So therefore we should intelligently cultivate the good things. Samadhamma, tapa, socham, and we should chant Hare Krishna. And we should pray for bhakti. Right? Just like last week, aham bija pritak pita. Right? So we naturally have loving feelings for our father, material father. So we should chant with loving feelings for the spiritual father. right? And then later, our Jiva Swarup, our Swarup, in Manjari Bhav, Gopi Bhav, Vatsalya Bhav, Sakya Bhav, Dasya Bhav, that will come through. But Bhajitam Pritipurvakam, you see. So this is the secret, that if you worship Krishna with Pritipurvakam, with the loving feeling, Krishna reciprocates with loving feeling. If you worship the demigods, you will get that reciprocation. If you worship the passionate entities, you will get that. But if you worship Krishna, you'll get eternal life. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay, any question? Excuse me?
You've heard of people doing channeling and seances. What mode is that in? Do you know what channeling?
Well, you see, yeah, people do channel, right? They channel. Just like when we chant, what do we do at the beginning of class? 1 second. We're channeling Krishna, are we not? We're chanting the prayers, Om Jnana Timarandasya Ganandana. We're channeling Krishna, which Jai Radha Madhav. So everyone is in tune with subtle areas of the universe. Now people, when they go channeling to different subtle entities, right? But it's in accordance with what entities they are channeling. The problem is that they don't know who they're channeling. Or they may be going into certain mystic or occult schools and channeling demoniac entities. Right? And then they write under channeling. You've heard about that. Automatic writing. And because it's coming from some subtle entity that's possessing them, they think, oh, it's a revelation. But that entity is not a transcendental entity. That entity is in a subtle region. We are on Bhuloka, right? Bhuloka. That means earth is the region of earth element. And then Bhuva Loka is the region of ghosts and spirits. It's just above us. It's in the 5th canto. So these living entities, ghostly entities under Lord Shiva, are generally in the mode of ignorance. Yakshas, Pishasas, Dhanavas, Daityas. They're generally not in the mode of goodness, they're in the mode of ignorance. And they will sell all sorts of BS, all sorts of nonsense to you, you know. But because the person channeling has got no frame of reference, he doesn't know the Vedas, he doesn't know the Vedic knowledge, he thinks, oh, I'm getting revelation. My spirit told me that in 5 years, Mount Vesuvius is going to explode and Italy will be finished. But the living entity might be just telling you a load of nonsense, you know. You understand? Why you're getting channeled? I'm not saying you. A person is channeling some spirit. But how do you know that spirit knows what he's talking about? If you go down the drinking place and they'll tell you all sorts of things. The BJP will be finished in 1 year. I'm channeling the drunkard next to me. So, you understand my point? You have to be very careful who you're channeling. And this channeling of ghosts and spirits is a very dangerous thing. Because if you make connection with them, if one makes connection with them, they will make connection with you. And they can haunt that person. And generally, entities, ghosts and spirits in Tamagun, they are envious. They're in Tamagun because of sinful activity. You understand? Just like...
They have those who are channeling have no control over who they are.
Yes, well they may have a little bit, but they can become possessed by that spirit. So it's very dangerous. So that is in the section of voodoo, black art, black tantra.
That's in the mode of ignorance.
Yeah, mode of ignorance. And like I say, if you have a Ouija board and you summon spirits, you don't know who you're summoning. Right? So, playing with occult, even in the Bible, right, occult is condemned, right? And also, I believe, in the Muslim religion, occult is condemned. Because you're going to reciprocate with entities in the mode of ignorance. And it's dangerous. Huh? They'll get a hold of you and cause you trouble. Yes. What they call Satanism in the West, right? Luciferianism. Excuse me?
This is if they practice as they like to do, they don't follow some system or this. Let us say different modes they are doing. Usually some people are like that, and this looks like. So what will be their position? Like if somebody is practicing...
Oh, Krishna talks about that worship entities in an unregulated way, according to like tradition. They'll get reciprocation to that degree. Just like when that Brahmin said, I'll get 5 Brahmanas and we'll chant so many thousand, and we'll start on this day and we'll offer fire sacrifice to Rahu in this. So that's in a regulated way. So that would be a very powerful offering. But then you can also worship Rahu in a very spontaneous way, but then you get that kind of result.
Even like somebody is chanting Hare Krishna, like somebody is sleeping and he knows that he sleeps, but he doesn't improve himself.
Well, he should keep going. He should keep going, you see. Because we all have a mixed karma. Though it talks about passion and ignorance, we should understand it's always a blend. Nobody is purely goodness, purely passionate, purely ignorant. There's a mixture. So we come to Krishna consciousness, we chant Hare Krishna, and it's there in the Bhagavatam. What's that verse? Nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama sloke bhakti bhavati naistike. If you read the Srimad Bhagavatam regularly, then the lower modes will be dissipated. So similarly, if you chant Hare Krishna and you're getting a good knowledge by hearing from bona fide source, passion and ignorance will be suppressed. You'll be purified.
Somebody is in the mode of ignorance. He doesn't come to Bhagavatam, he does not come in Bhagavatam, he's thinking I'm chanting or whatever he's doing. So what will be their destination like? Somebody is a passion.
Well, they're chanting Hare Krishna, but they're not following nicely. Well, they'll get the small result. You understand? Because yeta mam prapajante, all of them as they surrender. This very good point. There's the Harinam Chintamani, by Bhakti-Vinod Thakur. He explains the different offenses and how to overcome them to the holy name. And then in the last chapter, he says that if somebody takes to chanting the holy name very seriously, he decides, I'm going to chant 16 rounds, I'm going to increase to 64 rounds, I'm going to follow the regulative principles, I'm going to read the Bhagavatam at least 1 hour a day, and he's very determined, and I'm not going to become envious or rumour-monger, I'm going to be truthful, I'm going to be clean, right? Then Bhakti-Vinod Thakur says, in one life he can go back to Godhead. He can attain bhava. Because he makes that tapasya, like Dhruva. Dhruva means fixed. So that is us. We have to provide that. But then Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, however, somebody who, comes to the temple, he chants, goes to Mangalarti maybe a couple of times a week, watches television at night, maybe takes a little alcohol or intoxication, or, he goes unholy, and so he's a loose devotee, what we say a loose devotee. So he can stay in that position for hundreds of lifetimes. Do you understand? He's chanted, he's a vegetarian, say, right? But he doesn't chant every day. And he likes to hang out and play computer games. You know what I mean? So he will stay for many lifetimes on that level, you see? He'll get the result. It's not that Krishna will forget him, because Krishna reciprocates with our endeavor. Just like Krishna said to Lord Brahma, tapā, austerity. It's the first word. Austerity means what? Samadhamma, tapā. You have to have a peaceful mind, you have to have self-control, and then you have to think, I'm going to perform austerity in the line of Mahaprabhu, taught by Nityananda Prabhu. I'm going to dedicate, I'm going to do my best. And if I have trouble, then I'm going to keep going. You understand? We have to perform that drida vrata. Drida vrata. We have to get that out of our own determination. Then we will get the result. But if we're looking to other people, or we're pointing, oh, he didn't go to Mangalarti, or she's eating too much, I don't like that person's chapels, look at them. If we have to focus, right? Oh, I don't like him. He wears expensive dhotis, better than mine. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So you can waste all your energy in that way. I'm not saying this is your case, but I'm giving the example. But then the person, that's what it's meant. Earlier in the Gita, Krishna says the devotee is, his attention is within. He's active within. His aim is within. That means he's looking for the spiritual world. He's looking for the spirit. He's not looking for the material. Because if you look to the material world, you're always going to find some problem, right? You're always going to, be distracted. But the devotee, he has that, I have this life, I have Mahamantra, I have Swarup, Nityasiddha Krishna Prema, everything I have. But do I have the determination? And who's going to give that? Is it going to come like in the Hindi movies, the guru, and an electric beam comes? I see the light. No, it doesn't work like that. Guru gives the instructions, and our tapasya is to follow them. You see? It's called the Messiah syndrome. I like to go. People think Jesus is going to come again and destroy all the bad people. There's a Messiah coming, and after that everything will be good. In the meantime, I'll just watch the television. God is going to do everything. But that's not Bhagavad-Gita. Krishna said, what does Krishna say to Arjuna? Arjuna, armed with knowledge, stand and fight. Right? So through Gita, Shravanam is the most important. First, we gain knowledge. We get enlightened. and then we fight. That means we become determined. So armed with knowledge. And we don't think somebody is going to come out of the blue. What did Prabhupada used to quote Srila Bhaktisiddhanta? Don't try to see Krishna, but act in a way that Krishna wants to see you. Right? So we have to attract Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And it's very easy, is it not? Okay, Bhagavad-Gita Sadhu Sangha Ke